Today we're going to build a nice AI chatbot called Startup Copilot using Next.js and the Google Gemini LLM. Now, what is Startup Copilot? So imagine you have an idea for like $1 billion startup, and you want, maybe an automated data analysis dashboard, for example. So using AI can collect AI and other stuff to collect data and analyze it. So for example, if I click send, it's going to give me the message right here that I posted. And now if you wait a minute, this is the response we get back from Google, from Gemini, the idea and automated data analysis tool. And then we also created a custom prompt to organize the response the way it should. So you have starter tips. So, what you need to do first for this idea, how to validate the idea, so market research and how to market your idea, scale it to millions of users, and how to make sure that the business is sustainable. It can scale to millions of people, millions of users. So the real-time feature is made possible thanks to Convex. So Convex is a full backend as a service that you can use in your application. Unlike Firebase, Supabase, and all that, the database is real-time by default. So you don't need to add any fancy WebSocket abstractions or whatever to make real-time operations. So insertion, you get, once you create the data, you get it right on the front end. And the best part about this is that it is type safe. So you get TypeScript on all your functions and you get autocomplete on basically all of the data. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, we're also going to use Google Gemini as our LLM. And the reason why I picked this instead of OpenAI is because I don't have credits. I don't have credits for OpenAI. Plus, I wanted to do something a little different and try something different. Finally, we're going to use Next.js to build our front end, basically. So this is going to be our framework. To get started, we're going to create a new Next.js application. So you can go ahead and copy these the commands I'm going to pop on the screen here from my blog post. So make sure to check it out, the link in the description. But anyway, we're going to use create next app, and you have two flags, one for Tailwind and TypeScript. This basically means we're going to create a new Next.js project with Tailwind and TypeScript. Now, Startup Copilot, you can give this whatever name you want. For consistency, I'll keep it, the same name as the one I have before. So we're going to press enter. Yes, let yes. Source directory, this is pretty self-explanatory. I'm going to hit yes for now, just to keep things organized. App router, absolutely. No import alias, no custom alias. All right, now just sit back and watch it create the project. All right, so now that we've created the project, we need to cd into the folder. cd Startup Copilot. Now we need to install the Convex package. So all you have to do is just type in npm install Convex from one single terminal. So if you have all right, last but not least, we need to install concurrently. Now, concurrently is an npm package that lets you run two servers from one single terminal. So if you have like two, if you have like the Next.js server and then the Convex server, you want to make sure to run them both at once without spinning up two different terminals. So all I have to do is type in npm install concurrently dash G. Sorry, but yes, this is the G flag is optional. You can choose to install it globally. So if you want to use it again in another project, you already have it on your machine, or you can just save it, install it as a dev dependency. So I already did that, so I'm not going to do it again. Now we just open up the project in VS Code. So I'm going to add a profile YouTube to open the VS Code, open the folder in a specific VS Code profile, YouTube. All right, so I definitely misspelled that. It's supposed to be YouTube. All right, there you go. All right, for now, I'm going to show you how how to spin up a Convex server alone, and then we're going to look it up with concurrently. So first, we're going to type npx convex dev, and then press enter. All right, so now you get the option between a new project and an existing one. In our case, we want a new Convex project, startup copilot. All right, perfect. You can see that this CLI tool automatically took care of everything for us. So you have a README, then generated data types, things like that. It even has its own tsconfig file, which is rather interesting. But let's go ahead and check out the dashboard. So, all right, so far it's pretty empty because we haven't created a schema or anything. Click on generated schema. There's no data yet, so let's go ahead and define one right now. But first, before we do so, we need to hook it up to our front end. So let's just exit out of here. And now we're going to go ahead to src and then layout.tsx. And this is the root layout we're going to wrap. We're going to wrap the Convex provider in. It's going to be a custom component. So normally I'd like to, since it's technically not a component, it's more of a provider. What I'd like to do is create a new folder called providers, and then create a new file called convex client provider.tsx. And this is where we store our Convex provider. So first, we need to make sure it's a client component, so add a use client directive. And now we're going to import a few things, but first, let's go ahead and create a new variable called convex. I'm going to initialize our Convex client, so new convex react client. And this is going to be from our process.env. Now, if you look here, Convex already created like environment variables for us from the CLI as well. So to initialize the client, we're going to need the next public URL. So copy and paste this here. And obviously, it has to be like string and not an undefined variable. So let's add an exclamation mark. All right. Now that we have that, so we're going to click RFC. This is like a React ES7 snippet, and this is going to take in a children prop. So this is like the children, all the like components that are nested inside, and the children is going to be of type React node. All right, let's move this up here, and let's get rid of this div and instead return a convex provider. And import this from Convex React, and our client is going to be Convex. You can name this variable whatever you want, obviously. Last but not least, we're going to add children as a child component. And now save. Now we're ready to go back to our layout.tsx. And what you want to do is take this children, yank it out of here, and then go to Convex client provider, close tag, enter, paste it here, save. There you go. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to get started. Now this is optional, but I'm going to go ahead and change the metadata to title to startup copilot, and the description is going to be your AI assistant for your next $1 billion project. Of course, you don't have to, to copy the title and description. If you name your project different, you can give it a different title and description. And that's pretty much all we need to do to hook up our front end to our Convex backend. So now that we have that, so let's go ahead and create a schema. So schema.ts in Convex folder. And then all you need to do right now is go is import the, first we're going to do export default, define schema, and we're not getting autocomplete on this. All right, so basically we have to import define schema from then Convex server. Okay. All right, so it wasn't detecting this function automatically through autocomplete. You know, there's always the option to like restart the TypeScript server. Always forget about that. You know, this is the, you know, this is my struggle. One of the things I struggle with while making these tutorials for you guys. But anyway, let's go ahead and also import v. Those are like give us all the value types that Convex supports, so we can build our schema upon them. So let's go ahead and finally go to export default, define schema, and then parentheses, and then curly braces because it takes an object as a parameter. So it's going to be one table, and we're going to call it messages. And this messages will have two fields, taking two inputs. So first is going to be content, and it's of type string, v.string. Actually, I forgot to wrap this. So we're going to yeet this out. And then we also need to put this in a function called define table. And now paste. There you go. The error is now gone. All right, for the other parameter, it's going to be a role. Now, of course, the message will also be invoked by this table will also be used by the model to save our response. So it's going to be, so the role can be one of two things, a user or a model. So v.union, and then there's a v.literal, so an enum in TypeScript. So v.literal user, and then we can copy and paste, and then we're gonna make this v.literal model, and that's all we need for our schema. So go back here and you can see Convex functions ready. Okay, perfect. You go back to data and see our messages table has been created for us. Okay, so now we're ready to create our queries and mutations. So query is like a function that, you know, it's a procedure that returns to us the messages. So we're going to create a file called messages.ts. And then right here, we're going to go ahead and say export const get. So we're going to get all messages, and then query function. This is the part where we have to import it manually. So import query from Convex generated API. Sorry, server. Okay, there you go. So this query takes in two things. One, it takes an object of arguments. In this case, we have none. Hey everyone, monstajoe from the future. I stopped the recording accidentally, but I was saying that functions can take in arguments and a handler function. For the get function, we don't need to pass in any arguments, but we do need to get the data from the database. So in the handler function, you just type in db.select.collect. And as for the mutation, this is going to take in two arguments, the content and the user role. And then for the handler function, we're just going to insert that data into the database. Now, notice that the mutation is it says internal mutation. This means this is going to only run on the server, not anywhere else. So you can't access it from the client. That being said, let's go ahead and take a look at how to set up concurrently with our project. All right, I messed up right here. This is supposed to be a backslash, so backslash here, and it's supposed to be before the double quotes. This is really the most confusing part about double quotes inside double quotes. Right, there you go. And then one, sorry, you have for the opening quote, another one before. All right, so now if we save, and then we type in clear our terminal first, and then type in npm run dev, you can see concurrently is now in action. So you notice it ran our Convex first and then our Next.js all in a single terminal, which is really cool. But for now, let's go ahead and just cancel right now. All right, so this is the part where we're supposed to install the Google generative AI. All right, to do this, we just type in npm install google/generative AI and then press enter. All right, there you go. We just added it to our application. Now, before we do anything with Google's generative AI, we need to first create a new Google Cloud project. If you're not familiar with it, it's okay, really. We're not going to use it extensively. We just need to create this project so we can later on create an API key through AI Studio. I know first you go to Google cloud.google.com and then open up the console in the top right corner. And then, assuming that you don't have projects already set up, you can go ahead and just go to, go right here from the drop-down menu and then create new project. And then we're going to give this a name. We're going to call it startup-copilot. And then click create. All right, once it's created, you just go ahead and go to select project, and there you go. Now let's go to the AI Studio. So go to aistudio.google.com, and then you can click on Get API Key, create API key, and then right here you search for your your Google Cloud project. If it doesn't show up automatically, just refresh the page, and then create API key again. And all right, there you go. It should appear as like the first option. Since this is the most recent one, then click on create API key in existing project, or you can create a new project if you want. Okay. Now once you're done, you just go ahead and click copy. So you can copy the API key, and then go to env.local. And then right here, we're going to give this Gemini API key, and then paste the API key right here, and then click save. Now, we don't initialize the... Here's the thing. We don't just, create like a new generative AI. I'll show you what I mean. So first, let's go ahead and create a new instance of gen AI is equal to new Google generative AI, and then process.env dot, and then I'm going to copy the name of my variable. All right, now inside our handler, we can go ahead and generate and use our generative AI model. So first, we're going to go ahead and const model and define our generative model. So genai.get generative model. And there's only, for this JavaScript package, there's only one model, which is the Gemini Pro model. So we don't have access yet to Gemini 1.5 since it's still in preview. I mean, I do have access to it, but not through JavaScript, but through REST API. Gemini Pro. Temperature. Okay, so first we're going to go ahead and go to config. This is optional, but you can set something called the temperature. So the temperature is basically how random the response that you need. So how creative it gets with the Gemini gets with its responses. So for this, I'm going to set 0.7. All right, so now that we have that, make sure that now to use our model, we just we just type const result and then await, since this is an asynchronous method. So model dot generate content. Now this is going to be our prompt, the user prompt that they're going to input. So in the args, we're going to pass it prompt b.string import, and we're going to make our handler asynchronous, and then prompt like that. And we can, I could just say args.prompt, but I prefer destructuring, so there you go. And once we generate the result, we need to get the response. So const response is equal to result dot response. And then last but not least, we need the text of that response. So text response dot text, and this is a function. We're going to do that, and for now we're just going to return our text. So return text. But basically I want to show you something very quickly before we move on. So let's go back to our dashboard, then go to the logs and see if it's deployed. Oh, okay, so basically forgot to run the server. So npm, so yeah, clear, and then npm run dev. Okay, now we are ready to refresh. So logs. All right, as you can see, you have our updated actions. So go ahead and run function, and there you go, prompt showed up. And then see, you can type in hello, run action. All right, so you can notice that we got an error that says please pass a valid API key, even though we already do have an API key here. But the reason why this is happening because Convex operates separately from the front end. Its environment variables work differently. So you need to make sure that you scope the environment variable so that Convex has access to it. So click on settings and then go to environment variables, and then go to env.local and just copy this whole line for our API key and add, and then paste it right here, and then you click save. Now if we go back to our functions, generate, run function, and now if we do run action, there you go, we get a response back that says hello there, how can I assist you? This is the response from Gemini LLM. Alright, so we're actually almost done with our the backend side of things. All we need to do right now is just call our internal mutation not once but twice. First time is when the user creates a message when they hit send, and the second time is when Gemini responds back with a message so that we can save both of them in our database. So first we're going to go and let's go back to where it's in the handler, await context dot run mutation, and then inside run mutation we're gonna make sure it is an internal. So alright, so basically internal is an object that we import from generated API. So this is a generated API type. So internal dot messages dot post, and then for the second parameter we're going to pass it the arguments. So our content is going to be prompt, and the role is going to be user in this case. And all right, so this is our first time we run a mutation. the second time we run the mutation is when we get a response from Gemini. So you can copy and paste the mutation, and then instead of content prompt, we're going to actually save the text, and the role is going to be model. What I'm going to do is go ahead and replace this entire line with all of this. So, all right, so also content. So basically I got this whole, prompt from from my blog post that you can also check out from the link in the description. But yeah, this is basically a very in-depth explanation, explaining the model in detail, what you should, what it should do. So basically, the same structure, organizing everything right here. So starter tips, marketing, and then if it's a SaaS product, implement it. Now, you can go ahead and read up more on prompt engineering, but this is like a zero shot, not zero shot, but like one shot, because we're not giving like a very clear example of what it wants. This is just like a template of our response. You can read up more about prompt engineering from a link in the description, from the Google Gemini docs, or you can Google it. Pretty much, there's a ton of resources on how to do prompt engineering. Yes, we're done with Convex backend. Now, all we need to do right now is just basically play around with the front end and create and then design a UI around our application. Now, I'm not gonna waste a lot of your time, writing Tailwind classes and designing from scratch. So first, I'm just gonna mark this as use client, and basically what I'm gonna do is just yeet all of this from my blog post, copy all of these, and then right here just paste. Now, of course, there's a lot of stuff that's missing. We're gonna get to that. First, I'm gonna remove this on change, so that we have everything from scratch, all the actions and everything. But what we're doing is basically we're changing a little bit of the main styling of the home page. So for example, padding is 20. We're centering this like smack dab in the middle, horizontally, and then we're moving the justify between so that everything is like stacked normally and there's no space in between them. And for the input, we're just giving it padding, making it rounded, placeholder text. And then this pending, for this pending thing, we're going to create a pending state right now. This is like the state that we have, once, as soon as the response is like processing, load our own custom loading state, basically. And then this is like a Lucid icon from React icon. So we're going to need to install that. So first we're going to just open up a new terminal for now and just type in npm install react icons -- save dev, and then press enter. All right, so basically if this is pending, we're going to basically create a little loading animation. This is something that I got from like Cody AI. So animate spin. So basically we're creating like a bottom border and we're making it spin, and turning it into a circle with rounded full. So if it's pending, show this loading state. Otherwise, just display this horizontal icon. So this is like a send icon. So we're gonna import that, and basically we have icons for like roles. So model has like a computer tower. The user just had a user icon. So let's import both of these. Import. All right, so the pending state is going to be in the button, obviously. All right, so now we need to create a pending state. So first, we're going to go ahead and just const pending, and then set pending is equal to use state, and by default, this is going to be false. Import state. Has to be inside. Okay, so we have our pending, and then for a pending state, we're going to go ahead and say we're going to make sure the button is disabled if the button is pending. And then we also need to add a state for the inputs. So content set content is equal to use state. And this is going to be an empty string by default. And now in the input, we're going to add an on change state. So on change. And then right here, we're going to set the new content, updated once the user hits a new key on the keyboard. So set content e.target.value. All right, we're almost here. So we just need to create a new function inside of our, our component home. And reply is basically, what the user will receive. Is basically we're going to call the action that is supposed to generate the response from Google Gemini. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and just set pending to true. So like once the user clicks the button, pending state is activated. And then right here, before we do anything, first we need to get our messages. So const messages, and then we're going to use a convex hook called use query. Use query will return all the messages that we need. So api.messages.get, and then down here we just map the message. So let's go ahead and also call our action. So const generate is equal to use action, and then let's see, we'll get api.gemini.generate, and then right here we can go ahead and call our generate function. So or generate action, excuse me. Both are pretty much the same thing. So instead of prompt, prompt is content. There you go. And then if the promise is fulfilled, so basically if it's successful, we're going to go ahead and set pending back to false. Last but not least, we just need to go ahead and just wire this up. So let's see, on click should be reply. And now we're going to go ahead to our browser and take a look at our localhost. So go to localhost 3000. All right, so as you can see, we have sort of a dark theme because of Next.js styling. Let's go ahead and get rid of all of this. This is not pretty important right now. There you go. Now we have a nice white background. So, all right, hello isn't showing up. All right, because we haven't created anything yet, so our database is still empty. All right, just want to double check that. Okay, so for our idea, let's try e-commerce for now. Click send. There you go. And e-commerce, I definitely misspelled that. But let's see if Gemini, picks up on the detail. And e-commerce, okay, so at least it did that. But you can see that the formatting is all over the place and it's not looking pretty good. The reason that we're not getting the proper formatting, we see all of these, asterisks and everywhere. This is Markdown syntax. Of course, Tailwind doesn't support it, but there's a really nice component we can use called React Markdown. So npm install React-Markdown. This is basically going to take normal JSX, raw Markdown in the form of JSX and convert it to like formatted Markdown. So make sure we install it. And now once it is installed, we just take this out and then React Markdown for Markdown. So we need to import it up here. So let's go import React Markdown from React Markdown, and then close the closing tag and paste right here. So we hit save now, Alright, you can see that it's still like next to each other because this is default Tailwind formatting. It just does flex row by default, so everything is like next to each other instead of on top of each other. So to do this, what we can do, you can write class name and then give it flex column, save. Alright, there you go. Now one last thing, you can see these are supposed to be bullet points, but they're not showing up as such. So one of the really nice things that this component gives you is the ability to basically format, to customize the JSX mapping, the tag names, mapping tag names to components. So for example, the unordered list, I want to format it as such. So you can basically override the default formatting that React Markdown gives you. So first, for the unordered list, we just destructure the children unordered list. And in Tailwind, if you want a show a bullet point, you just type list disk. So list a decimal, and then give it like a margin bottom of like 4, so at the end of the list there's a little bit of margin at the bottom, and then you just show the children. And now every list item, we also want to format it as, want to give it like want to indent this by giving it like left margin. So you can take this, yank it out of here, paste it. Instead of this, we're gonna say margin left is equal left 8, and then click save and go back here. Bullet points are not showing. Made a mistake here. It's supposed to be list item li. All right, there you go. We have properly formatted the response from Google Gemini. All right, so that is pretty much a very brief Gemini tutorial. Now, I wanted to do something that's a little different from the OpenAI. Plus, I can't really pay for more extra OpenAI credits because 1, I'm cheap. 2, where I live, can't really do that unless you have a credit card, which I don't have on me right now. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can comment down below if you have any questions or any suggestions for future YouTube tutorial. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.